We are just here to address some boiling matters. We are all aware that we have a very huge and embarrassing housing deficit, which is a neighborhood of 2 million. So when people see properties that are supposed to have been put together by the government's initiative not being inhabited, they get worried. So Saglemi is on the radar now, and everybody's saying that people, especially workers, are crying to find spaces to live. Why is it that you have Saglemi, which was at the instance of the previous government, and all this while nothing has been done about it? We're operating quietly because of the fact that Saglemi has serious challenges, very, very serious challenges. And some of them, bothered on law, and others had got to do, shall continue and execute projects and programs commenced by the previous government. That is eminently sensitive, because I can't see a situation in which you succeed the government, and the government has done good projects, and because of what I call pettiness of mind, the succeeding government will not attend to the previous, projects, because it is expensive to abandon projects because of what we call cost overruns. If projects were started by President Kufuor and they were not completed by President Mahama, and you want to deal with the projects now, the cost implications are obvious for everybody to see. So that is the fundamental issue that I want you to appreciate, that the Constitution enjoins us to continue the projects that were left behind by the previous government. And therefore, we do not have a choice but to conclude what President Mahama left off with Saglemi. But I found a very interesting point this morning, that you know that the land space of about 2,172 acres at Saglemi, Old Ningo, near Dangme East District, was acquired by President Kufuor. The land where Saglemi is now. That was in 2002. It's consistent with the Bible, which says that Paul planted and Apollo watered, and God gave the increase. So Saglemi was Kufuor's understanding that let's acquire so much land and build for our people. Kufuor was not intended to stay in government permanently, so he hesitated, and that's how come we had a succeeding government. So let this be on record that it is very normal for governments to continue with business of the previous government. That parcel of land, as part of our land banks, the ministry has the business of buying land so we could construct affordable housing for our people. And this parcel of land was allocated to Messias Construtora OS Ghana Limited. It's a Brazilian company that got incorporated in Ghana. And it was intended that they construct 5,000 housing units. I want to stress this. It's a 5,000 housing unit project. The President of the Republic of Ghana, per the Office of the President's letter, dated 15th August 2012, granted executive approval to the Minister of Works and Housing for the construction of 5,000 affordable housing units for sale to the general public through mortgage provided by Ghana Home Loans and implemented by Messias Construtora, I'm always struggling with this word, OS Ghana Limited, through a buyer's credit of up to $2 million United States dollars. pending parliamentary approval. I want to give you this cold fact because people want to do propaganda with it. You see, the arrangement was very simple. 200 million United States dollars was penciled for this project to deliver 5,000 housing units. The executive approval was also permitted the Ministry of Works and Housing to present to Parliament for approval of the exemption tax, duties and levies and other charges relating to the execution of the project. And that is how it goes with affordable housing rollout. You always have the benefit of tax waivers. Parliament on Friday, the 12th day of October 2012, granted approval for the construction of 5,000 housing units for sale to the general public through mortgage provided by the Ghana Home Loans and implemented by Messias Constructora OS Ghana Limited through a buyer's credit in the neighborhood of 200 million, as I've stated. I'll give you the Ghanaian address of this company, Messias Constructora OS. They are located at number 9. We are discussing and has become a problem. Proved that 200 million United States dollars, less some charges, should build 5,000 housing units. But something happened on the 27th of February 2014. Without parliamentary approval, the parties, that is my ministry, representing the government of Ghana, and the contractor reviewed the original agreement and signed what they called first and restated agreement with Messias Constructora OS Ghana Limited to define the number of houses to be constructed. That is 1,502 housing units. The price of the contract sum remained the same, 200 million United States dollars. And this was a time of the minister called Honorable Collins Dauda. These are cold facts. So while we have Parliament approving, parliamentary approval of 200 million United States dollars and the rollout of 5,000 housing units, the minister, together with the company, reduced the housing units to 1,502, but the contract sum remained the same. It means that by that singular act, Ghanaians were shortchanged in terms of housing units in the neighborhood of 3,498. And if you want to do simple arithmetic, it means that if you are supposed to roll out 1,502 housing units, then the contract sum should be less. And I was doing this arithmetic with my wife in the house this morning, and I realized that, no, I have difficulties with math. She is very good at it. I realized that if you downsized the scope of works from 5,000 housing units to 1,502 housing units, then 1,502 housing units should give you about 60 million US dollars. It is significant you come to terms with this. As fate will have it, President Mahama lost power. We know that. And then on the 21st day of December 2016, 14 days after he lost power, the chief director of my ministry, One Alhaji Saglemi Yakubu, and the contractor reviewed the first amended and restated agreement and signed a second and restated agreement in which the scope of the works were reduced to 1,024 housing units. And it was said that the contract sum should come to 108,519 United States dollars. Maybe let me say it again. 181,519,000. And that was a huge challenge. As to why it should be so is a subject matter that we'll discuss very soon. The records reflect that Messias Consultura OS Ghana Limited in early 2014 started work at the project site. One document we found, which was very explicit, that there was no confusion in the mind of the government of Ghana as to the housing units to be rolled out, is the escrow management account document. And I must commend my able directors, because we were struggling to fish out information. And we needed to go outside our ministry, and they did a yeoman's job to bring out, what is needful, and that's what we are presenting to you. And it is very consistent with what Parliament approved. On the 4th day of January 2013, the contractor bound itself over an escrow management agreement covenanting to roll 5,000 housing units at a contract sum of 200 million. This debunks any argument that the housing units, by the terms of the contract and subsequent agreements, were not 5,000 housing units. I want us to understand this so well, and it's so important. The original EPC contract was expected to be completed on 31st March 2016 at a total contract sum of 200 million. This contract sum is inclusive of consultancy fees, bank charges, excluding applicable taxes and duties. I've said that already. The contractor couldn't complete on schedule, which necessitated that the contract period be enlarged. So the contractor was given space to complete the works on the 31st of August 2016. I want to stress that again. It's very good for our consumption. Bear in mind, the contract said, the EPC contract, the original one said, finish off by 31st March 2016. For whatever reason, the contractor could not complete the job as scheduled. And time has to be enlarged to 31st August 2016. Let me tell you something that you need to know about the disbursement of funds. This project never had poverty of funds, as we are experiencing now. Now it's tough to raise good money to do housing project. So this particular, project did not have liquidity challenges because of what I've said previously, that the whole amount of 200 million was put in an escrow account to be assessed to bankroll the projects. Very, very important dimension to affordable housing delivery that you should know. Let me address disbursements, how the monies were disbursed, and then we move on to other matters. Total disbursement made by the employer, that is the ministry, on the project to date is 195,854,969.52. These are evidence-based, and there are documentary support for this. When you have the breakdown, you realize that the contractor, Consultura OS Ghana Limited, had received the sum of 179,904,6 757.78 United States dollars. The consultants who were doing the supervisory work and the rest of it, Architectural and Engineering Services Limited under my ministry, were paid $2,550,000 United States dollars. There is a company called Rich Management Solutions that came in later in time. They took $8,662,029.20 United States dollars. And some amount of money went to a Brazilian company, Vio Higo Codenco e Gesta de Progestos, which is an indication of the fact that it is the contractor that directed that the money should go there, and it's in the neighborhood of $4,738,182.54 United States dollars. According to a document that my able directors fetched from the Bank of Ghana, as at 31st day of May 2018, the letter was dated 31st day of May 2018, and as at 30th April 2018, what was left in the escrow account is $2,246,480.34 United States dollars. According to the contractor, part of the project fund amounting to $7,876,061.80 United States dollars was used to pay for taxes demanded by the Ghana Revenue Authority. Out of this amount, Ghana Revenue Authority has refunded an amount of $3,118,440.80 United States dollars. And you need to also come to terms with this, that to date, the total amount of $4,757,621 United States dollars is the outstanding taxes to be refunded by the Ghana Revenue Authority. Now, from our perspective as a ministry, and the facts that we found since we assumed power, what reasons accounted for the stalling of the project? And I want you to listen to this because we don't want to do any propaganda with this issue. And these are the cold facts. There is no denial the fact that the contractor, having received an amount of $179,904,757.78 million United States dollars out of 1810189, representing 99.39%, should have delivered pro rata almost all the housing units, including the on-site infrastructure. I want you to understand it because we don't want to joke with this issue. To whom much is given, much is also expected. The Bible says that. If you were blessed with any contractual undertaking and you have used 99.39% of the contract sum, I'm afraid you have no excuse to complain why we can't see the 5,000 housing units on site there. The upshot is that the contractor has misappropriated the sum of 129,898,516.80 million United States dollars, having delivered 142 housing units. That's against the contract figure of 5,000. And I can come and show you that even the 141 is not totally complete. As we speak now, the housing units at Saglemi are not habitable. The conclusion born out of reason and the evidence that the contractor has misappropriated a substantial portion of the contract sum, which is in the neighborhood of about 71.8% of the monies due the contractor. They come out with this J. June argument that, we are owed, we have to refund some tax. That's about a bare 2.6% of the amount. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is important for you to come to terms with the fact that we will not be able to take over the projects unless we have the opinion of the Attorney General, who is a principal legal advisor to the government in terms of Article 88 of the Constitution. I have been prompting the Attorney General because the volumes of paper on this matter were sitting this tall. Because you can't ask the Attorney General to proffer an opinion in a vacuum. So there's a necessity to bring the underlying documents and every originating document for the Attorney General to internalize and advise. The Attorney General, because of how our NDC brothers provoked this issue, because we're going quietly, has informed me that we shouldn't even worry too much. The advice is going to come. When we have the advice, we have our view as a ministry, but we have to defer to the Constitution and let the Attorney General advise. When we receive the advice, we know what to do. And very soon, certain things are in the background. There are a lot of investors who want to come and continue the projects, but they can't continue until the projects are properly, assessed, what has been done, and then the legalities are in place for the contract to be terminated. And those who need to have engagements with the criminal, outfits of the land, will have to do that. And then we will deliver the houses to our people. Some people are saying, and I was very sad, because the committee in Parliament on Works and Housing, which is NDC members and MPP members, together with my good self, we went on site before the House rose to go and look at what was on site. It is very clear that we do not have a sewage system in place. So I can't understand how any individual can go and live in a house where there is no sewage system. The taps are not running. There's no electricity. Some people will say that, whose responsibility is that? They call it on-site infrastructure. Every on-site infrastructure is the work of the contractor. We will have to just ensure that when the on-site infrastructure is in place, we go to the big issues. If it means that we should connect water from afar, that's a government business. But what we do will just come and connect with what is on site. It holds true for water and electricity. So this is where we are, and I want to stress that we will not be a ministry trying to frustrate Ghanaians from having dwelling houses. If you know the army of Ghanaians who are knocking at our doors, civil servants who need places of abode, will be the last, ministry in the realm to frustrate Ghanaians from getting places to live. But when you have a gargantuan problem, you need patience and wisdom to solve the problem. It's not just snapping your finger or going to buy mobile units. We need to take our time because of contractual consequences, to ensure that the proper infrastructure audit has been carried out. We have received legal advice, and the slate is clean before we can finish these projects, and then we invite Ghanaians who are ready to go and live in them to go and live in them. So this is where we are, and I will end what I'm saying and give you the space to ask any questions. I have the blessing of my directors here. If there's a question that I cannot answer technically, I'll defer to them to answer, but I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you very much for your attention. Collins Dauda's behavior or misbehavior is responsible for the stalling of the housing units. I can say that he was not a contractor. He might have done certain things that I believe the Attorney General will advise. But I am persuaded that the contractor didn't have financial challenge, which is indicative of the fact that the monies were not dutifully applied to the projects. And that might not be a minister's, business. It's a contractor's business. So let me leave my colleague alone and let me wait for the Attorney General to talk about it. And we will see the outcome. Somebody was saying until the Attorney General, comes out with the advice, what are we doing about it? Well, we here would want to find out how much it will cost to complete it. This is the exercise we are carrying out, so that when we receive the advice, those who are queuing to have them completed, we give them what it will take to complete it, and we will ensure that they are duly completed. Well, I would want to proffer an opinion as to whether Parliament should give a position approval. Here is the sum of 200 million, go and roll out 5,000 housing units, and the minister can downsize it. On top of my head, I know the answer, but let me defer to the Attorney General, because I do not see how an individual can overrule the decision of Parliament. It was extra parliamentary behavior, and with the greatest respect, let's leave the Attorney General, who will very soon, come out with all these issues. There was this permutation that 200,000 housing units, and then 500,000 housing units, and the 5,000 housing units, and the 200 million United States dollars. If you want to translate it into the prices for the houses, that calculation can be challenged because of the fact that these are affordable housing units, and it might not be so. Bear in mind that even the cost of getting the land was borne by the government. So when it's governmental intervention, it might not be that price, but that is what they were supposed to. It is after they finish, then the owners of the properties, the government, will decide as to how to sell it to the people. You realize that there's a lot of things that are being subsidized by the government. And the government could decide that, look, given the pocket of the ordinary person, the Saglemi housing unit, a 2-bedroom, should cost this much. And the government could absorb some of the cost for the sake of our people. But essentially, the government also had in mind an arrangement in which people can afford to own their houses via the mortgage arrangement with Ghana Home Loans. So if it is priced at a certain point in time, those who are interested in acquiring the properties over time go and sign on to the mortgage, and with that, they'll be able to own the houses. So the price argument can be arithmetically correct, but that could not be the government policy. So you can think mathematically that if you had $200 million and you're supposed to do 5,000, then if you want to do calculations to find the cost of one housing unit, it should be in the neighborhood of $40,000. That could not be, that could be right mathematically or conceptually, but that could not be the decision of the government. Well, it's not bad for NDC to start anything for us to react, you see. But what it is that I'll tell you free of charge. I have a human heart, and everybody here who is working with me will know that. I do not want to hound people. We never came into this government to hound people. So until your facts are intact, don't speak. That is why we know a lot, but we kept quiet. We wanted to finish with the legalities of the matter before we give you the full picture. But if the NDC wants to do propaganda with it, it's up to them. Because these are issues which are cold facts. There's no propaganda about building a house. Please, for Christ's sake, getting a house for people to live in is not a propaganda matter. It's a developmental thing. So we are not reacting to what the NDC doing per se. But it is good for people also to know the facts. Now that the NDC believe that let's do propaganda with the Saglemi thing. So we are the individuals who do not want to complete the Saglemi housing projects. For what? What will be the dividend to the Akufo-Addo government? Not to complete, houses done by President Mahama. If you care to know, we have a whole situation of President Kufuor's housing units, which were never completed by President Mahama. And we found good money to complete them. So please, I don't want any issues to do with it. We reacting to it, but let's have facts. When we finish housing units, and we want people to own houses or to be tenants, it will not be by reason of your party card. It's because you are a civil servant, you work for the government, and therefore you are entitled to have a place of abode. That is going to be done. City FM said you've seen some cracking of some of the houses. I tell my chief director that when a house is built and it's not 5 years old and you see cracks on the wall, from my perspective, the integrity of the construction is not intact. So if you want to go there, it's not because people have not lived there. Why should you have properties cracking when it's not even 5 years old? For you to say that the strain and stress of dwelling in the place is causing this. So it has a dimension which will be known later. But I'm of the humble view that what you see in the cracks and the rest of them might even be a pointer to the fact that the integrity of the construction is in question. We might want to look at it. Well, the cost of completion, we do not know it yet. That's what we are doing to ensure that you get what we call qualified architects and quantity surveyors to measure how to assess what to take to finish. And then when we've put it together as we are doing, we give it to any serious contractor who wants to complete the houses, and then you have the benefit of good houses where you can now go and live in there because the sewage is taken care of, the on-site amenities are good, and it's habitable. I think I have answered this set of questions. Yeah. One is arithmetic. You don't have to talk to anybody with the greatest of respect. You see, if I started poking my nose into what Collins Dauda did, somebody might interpret that, have you come to hound him? I'm not the one to interrogate people. You know what a minister does? You just give the facts to the Attorney General. The Attorney General, if he believes that you should go to Yoko, you go to Yoko. That's when they will invite you. Because if I tell Honorable Collins Dauda, come to my office and says he won't come, my brother, I don't have policing powers over him. You understand that? But what is on the ground? And please, let's get it very right. You don't need an Einstein to tell you about the short change. You just need arithmetic. Use 200 million United States dollars to do 5,000. Simple, equation. Then if it's downsized, as I've told you, the shortfall is obvious. If you told your daughter who is in a senior high school that, let me show you something that maybe some of you here will be able to help do now. Let me show you that this arithmetic, you don't need the chief director to explain or Collins Dauda to explain. Listen. 200 million United States dollars is equal to 5,000 housing units. 1,502 housing units should give you how much? And then if you said the contract stipulated that do 5,000 and is downsized to 1,502 without you affecting the contract sum, then the shortfall is obvious. Please, am I making sense? Yes. So why would you want to say that now the minister should begin to call the chief director? Chief director, what was in your mind before you did it? It might even be insulting. So I'm here not to have personality clashes. I'm here to give you facts in cold print. These are not my inventions. This is an inherited trouble that I've met. But I can assure you that I am not here to malign anybody. The facts are speaking for themselves. So